Hi, this is Zia and this is
Kamana, and welcome to Holistic Nomads TV,
where ancient wisdom and modern science can help you to have more clarity and energy in your life. Hi, welcome to Holistic Nomads TV, and in today's episode we are going to answer your questions. So for those who have submitted the question on our website, which is on www.holisticnomads.com/ask, we are going to answer your question. Is that correct? Yes. In today's episode. So today's episode we are going to focus on the question relating with lifestyle, specifically about women's health. Are you ready, Kimmy?
I'm ready.
Ready?
Go for it. Yeah.
10 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start the timer here. 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yep.
First question. Hello, Zia and Kimana. I would like to know more about Ayurvedic perspective regarding menstruation. How is it related to the tree dosha and other aspects? And second question is, what's the lifestyle that we should adopt to deal with PMS? We'll be very happy if you cover it in your video. Thank you. This is from Aurelia in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Cool. Hi Aurelia. Yep, happy to share about this. This is a topic that I know a lot about as I deal with the yoga industry in a predominantly women market that I'm interacting with a lot. So lots of experience with this area, menstrual cycles, not direct experience of course, but lots of experience there. So the first thing we'll look at is the dosha's relationship to the menstrual cycle itself. So all three doshas affect every cycle of life, including the menstrual cycle. The ovulation period, as we're building up with estrogen at that period, and we're building this nice environment for the baby to live in the uterus, building the wall, that's a building cycle. It's associated with kapha dosha. Then as we move towards the bleed cycle, we start to break down some of that lining. The baby has not come into the uterus, and this is a pitta cycle as we're breaking down lots of transformation, and progesterone is starting to peak up there. As we bleed, that's the peak of the vata cycle. Vata is associated with loss, letting go. It's more of a dryness cycle. So as we release this excess blood, the vata dominates. So that's the three doshas throughout the cycle. And if there's an imbalance with one of the doshas, it's somewhat more likely to present at one of those peaks. If there's more kapha, it may imbalance around the ovulation time, more pitta just before the bleed, and vata during the bleed and around that time. Now, as we're talking about PMS, we're talking about pre-menstrual here. So that's the period just before the bleed. I should clarify that a lot of people say PMS symptoms, and sometimes they're actually talking about during the bleed. So they may be talking about vata type symptoms of cramping and bloating and sort of a sadness, worry that goes on around the vata time. Here we'll be addressing PMS. I'm assuming that that's what you meant. So we're talking about the before the bleed cycle here, which is more associated with pitta. And if it's even more pitta, then we're going to see some of these pitta type symptoms that will happen in that before the bleed. The main thing is that there'll be a little bit more of a irritation, snappiness that may happen in the moods. The bowels may move towards more of a loose stool tendency. Pitta has a loose stool, so you may loosen in the bowels just before the bleed. We may have a tendency to food cravings, an increase in the appetite that comes up in this period. Again, pitta has a stronger appetite, wanting to feed more and really nourish as it's starting to transform and getting ready to release. The heat tends to build up here, so there may be heat dominant imbalances, more tendency to acne and pimples that may come about in that period just before the bleed. There may be headaches as well. Sometimes that can be intense, and migraines for a really strong pitta imbalance. And because pitta is also associated with smelly things, there may be more of a smelly discharge that happens from the vagina in this period. So if there is more of those symptoms that are happening to you, especially if it's just before the bleed, then that's going to be more pitta. We can tick boxes and going, yes, it's definitely pitta that we need to be aware of and to treat.
Great. So what would be the lifestyle advice?
The lifestyle advice with Ayurveda is first always look for the cause. Whenever we're treating anything, we start to go, what is the cause and how can we eliminate the cause as our first step? So let's start looking at diet first. The main dietary causes are things like alcohol, that's excess heat that's invading the blood. It's already pitta dominant, we don't want that. Deep fry will also tend to aggravate the menstrual cycle a lot. If we combine deep fry with meat, meat by itself in excess can aggravate pitta, and deep fried meat will really tend to aggravate the menstrual cycle in pitta. It tends to block the microcirculation channels, and we really need those tiny microcirculation channels for the reproductive system to function well. So we need to get blood to the uterus, and blood back out of the uterus to get this transformation happening really well. So deep fry, key area, especially if it's with meat. We'd also be looking at dairy. Dairy can be an aggravating factor, especially if you notice more of this breast swelling, breast tenderness, a little bit more of fluid holding on in that premenstrual period or around the bleed cycle, then dairy could be a high contributor. And any junk foods or processed foods would also come under that category. So there are our dietary causes to try and reduce or eliminate. The next thing that we look at for causes is the emotions. So the emotions, fear, sadness, anger, grief, shame, that these sorts of emotions can tend to irritate the body's function and can affect the menstrual cycle. They are much more likely to affect the menstrual cycle if you're experiencing those emotions in relation to partners. So if you're feeling this grief of the loss of a partner or anger in relation to the partner, then that sort of emotion can settle into this region and affect the menstrual system easier. It's also important when we look at emotions and stress as a general mental emotional thing, that raises cortisol. It's a stress response hormone in the body, and cortisol is made from progesterone in the body. So we really need a good amount of progesterone to have a functional menstrual cycle. And if we're having a lot of stress response, a lot of emotions, then we're burning up that progesterone and turning it into cortisol, a stress response hormone. So we need to calm and rest and make sure that we're not in excess emotions all the time. Start practicing some yoga, some deep breathing, really work with how we can facilitate a more calm nervous system and move those emotions out of the system. This brings us to exercise, because exercise has really been associated with being able to reduce excess cortisol in the body. A daily exercise practice really helps to reduce stress. Now, we should also state that excess exercise will aggravate pitta too. So we're not talking about pumping it every day for more than 40 minutes and totally sweating out. We're talking about 3 times a week of good quality exercise and every day of a little bit of movement to really facilitate flow and circulation throughout the body. So an exercise practice, really important. And our last major cause to look at is ama. Ama is like half digested byproducts that are accumulating throughout the system. And in Ayurveda, we always have this seesaw effect that goes on between Agni, digestive fire, and ama. So if there's a lot of digestive problems that are happening, then Agni goes down and ama, half digested byproducts, go up. And if we treat this ama through good quality exercise, digestive herbs, a good quality diet, then the ama tends to go down and the digestive fire goes up. Ama can also go up through environmental pollution. And as you're living in Jakarta, I'd really have a look at that. How could you reduce environmental pollution in your home environment and not having so much toxicity there? Maybe a negative ionizer in the home. Maybe a hair tissue mineral analysis could really help you too, to find out if there's any heavy metal excess toxins in the body that the body's trying to deal with. That could also really affect PMS. So here we've looked at the main causes, and now we'll start looking at some key specific treatments. Again, we'll first start with diet. The key treatment to look at with diet is to have a look at this progesterone, estrogen dominance. If that's a case with you, and that can be tested as well, to have a look at the hormone balances in the body, then it's likely we would need to increase foods that facilitate good progesterone in the body. Cruciferous vegetables are really key for that. So broccoli, cauliflower, they're really important, and especially in the 14 days leading up to the bleed. So make sure that you're having a lot of steamed broccoli, steamed cauliflower in soups and things. At least like a half cup of each of those every day will really help to balance that progesterone response. Also, we need to really look at the pitta overdrive. If there is a dominant pitta dosha that's affecting the PMS, then there's likely this passion, go, goals, next, I'm doing more, and that pitta overdrive will raise cortisol, in turn reducing progesterone. So have a look at how much stress and overloading your day is influencing the menstrual cycle too. And the last one we'd look at is herbs. Herbal medicine can be great to help a menstrual cycle. Just going to list 2 herbs here: shatavari, a great herb from Ayurveda, and Chinese wild yam, a great herb from Chinese medicine. You should be able to find both of those fairly easy in Indonesia, especially the Chinese wild yam. There's quite a lot of Chinese medicine herbal suppliers in Jakarta and Bandung.
Next question, what about cramping right before the bleeding or even during? What would be the treatment for that?
Cramping is generally associated with vata. It's associated with some form of deficiency of circulation moving towards the region. Sometimes that can be deficiency of nutrients as well, deficiency of magnesium. Yet most of the time it's just that the circulation isn't able to get the magnesium in the blood to the reproductive organs as easily. So the main thing I'd look at is increasing circulation. A good hot water bottle can really help with that. Also, the herb cinnamon is wonderful to help with cramping. It helps to circulate and push circulation towards the lower abdomen in this region, so it really helps with that a lot. The doses would be quite high. Again, in this 10 days leading up to the bleed, we'd be looking at 1 to 2 teaspoons at least. I'm not going to give the really high doses over the internet. They'd only be used for really kapha, stagnant conditions anyway. They probably need to be prescribed if they're higher doses. Some magnesium supplementation may also be very beneficial there. And key thing for cramping is exercise. Not exercise when you're getting the cramping, but make sure in that 10 to 14 days before the bleed, you've been doing lots of exercise specific for that lower region. And the same foods that we were looking at before that could aggravate pitta could also be blocking the system and creating more tendency to cramping, especially armor. Excess armor will really increase that tendency.
I would also like to add my personal favorite is abhyanga.
Oh yeah,
With
wonderful.
Oil, before shower, hot shower, warm shower, because that really helps for the oil to absorb penetrate, and it's just really relax the nerve system. Yeah,
so good oil massage beforehand and then have a warm shower, great for circulation, great for nervous system.
Yeah. So in summary, this is huge topic, like menstrual cycle, bleeding cycle, woman cycle basically. So in the future we will cover more in depth on this topic, and this is just tiny bit because it seems like, you know, one of the questions that we receive a lot about PMS, menstrual cycle.
Yeah, really happy to share more on that in the future. I hope, Aurelia, this gives you a really good starter here and gets you on the right track there.
Yeah. Again, all the information that we share in this video is educational in nature. So if you would like to go more in depth for your own healing progress, and let's say someone out there have a more serious case of PMS, because, you know, some people really have more serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I have my sister-in-law, like if she have period, she just can't move out of the bed because it's just so much pain. Then we will highly recommend to check out health practitioners and ask for their professional advice.
Yeah, always, if you want to go deeper with something, work with a qualified practitioner to really get straight to the specific cause for you. Here we're doing educational to give you areas to look at what could be possible causes and co-work with a professional.
Yeah, on the caption below there is a link for you to submit your name and email if you would like guidance and help with Kimana for an online consultation for whatever case. Let's say one of the things is with your menstrual cycle. Anything else you would like to add?
Great to share with you. I hope you share it too with the world. If you'd like to help others heal holistically, or just wishing to have more control in your own self-care, then check out the programs I've co-created on Ayurvedic.com. We've brought together some of the world's best health experts, teaching people what I consider to be the 6 most important branches of holistic healing. I really hope to share with you in the future there, and I hope you too share this information with the world.
Now, theory without practice is wasteful, because hearing leads to forgetting, Teaching leads to remembering, and applying leads to mastering. That's why we will encourage you to leave a comment below and share one learning insight from this video. Also, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you will be the first to hear about our future educational videos. And for more resources on health and healing, check out our website holisticnomads.com. There you will find articles, quizzes on Ayurveda, loads of free downloads, and of course, our future events and courses. Thank you so much for watching. We hope it's been beneficial for you. Hope to see you next week. Bye! Nomads.
You could see your face go into those people submitting on YouTube just then. Yeah.